What's up, everybody? Coach Zai here with the timeout. Gonna be missing a couple people today, but still got Big Trav with us and Dr. Pepper.
What's up,
What's up,
everybody?
fellas?
What's going on?
So,
Uh, Today we're just gonna talk about a couple topics. Try not to keep you busy all night, but a little bit. First, we're gonna start with James Harden and the general manager last night after beating the Warriors in his comments. So just wondering what you fellas had to think about him saying that James Harden's probably the best scorer of all time.
Um, I'll go first with this one. Don't get me wrong. No discredit to James Harden. He can score the rock. Can he do it without taking 8 steps? I don't know. Sometimes, but to say that he is the greatest scorer of all time, humble yourself. I mean, we've watched guys like Kobe Bryant come through the game. I mean, yes, James Harden can shoot, but did you guys, did we watch Kobe? Did these GMs, the Rock GM, did he watch Kobe Bryant in his prime? I get that James Harden, he's got the 3-point shot. He's got a step back. He's slow getting to the lane. He's decent off the dribble. But, I mean, when I'm looking at guys, again, like Kobe Bryant, and even I think there's some players in today's NBA that could potentially be a better scorer than James Harden. So to say that, it was – listen, I love it because he's given James Harden all the confidence in the world. He's backing him up. It's what he should do, but it's a false statement in my eyes. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree with Trav. Like, he shoots about, 41 free throws a game? I mean, it's unbelievable. The guys don't know how to guard him. So I follow him when he's shooting, And some of those foul calls are ridiculous. But anyway, he's a great scorer. Really fun to watch. Like Trav said, he can shoot the ball. He can shoot the lights out of the gym. But, yeah, I mean, you're talking about Kobe, other guys, I mean, Jordan was a pretty good scorer, there's been many guys that can score it. And, as of right now today, he was definitely, like, top 3. But, I mean, you still got Curry. I mean, he's a really good scorer, too. So, I mean, I wouldn't say he's the greatest of all time. Because, like I said, he shoots about 41 free throws a game. So, at least half his points are from that. And you gotta give him credit, he does shoot well from the line, so that helps him too.
I mean, I gotta agree with you guys on. I don't even think it's an argument that he's the best scorer of all time. I mean, I'm not even sure you can put him in the top 10. So, like, I don't even think that's a question. But I was listening to Colin Coward this morning. He made some really good points of about how James Harden is like a better version of what Kirk Cousins is, and because he said that Kirk Cousins is like a stat packer, so that like even in those games that Kirk Cousins loses, he still finds a way to throw a couple garbage touchdowns, and his stats look a lot better, and that's how he ended up getting paid. Now I think James Harden's on like a superstar level where Kirk Cousins isn't on that level. But when you think about James Harden, like to be the best scorer of all time, I think you got to be able to do it at the highest level. That's like why I defended LeBron to some degree, that LeBron can name himself the best of all time to some degree because he's won at the highest level and he's done it. James Harden has laid eggs in the playoffs, laid egg against the Spurs. Last year had a chance to close out the Warriors, with or without Chris Paul, he still had a chance to do it, and he didn't do it. So I think James Harden gets a lot of foul calls in the regular season. I think that in the regular season you don't get specific game plans. Against guys. I think more it was just you run your schematic things that they run in the NBA, and you kind of do your basics, and you hope that overall you're going to win more than you lose based on the talent you have on your roster. Where when he gets into a 7-game series, like especially against the better teams, he has struggled. You have this, like when they play the Spurs, you see guys sometimes guard him with like their hands behind their back, and just because they won't allow him to get to the free throw line. And then the Warriors tend to do a really good job against him as well in the playoffs. So for me, James Harden is a great regular season player. He, if he keeps his pace, though, I mean, the last 2 weeks have been incredible. And he's gotten the Rockets back to, they're going to make the playoffs. But he's got to be able to do it when the money's on the line. Can he make those shots in a 7-game series against the Warriors? So I'm not sold on that. So he's definitely not top 10, though. I mean, he just gets hot, and he does get away with some travels, and he does shoot a ton of free throws. But, he's a heck of a scorer in the league right now. But I do think his stats to some degree can be misleading because, I mean, when you look at the Rockets, I mean, you look at the box score the other night, they just jack threes. So when they're hot, I mean, their stats are going to look better than some other team stats because they let that thing fly. So, yeah, that's my opinion. I don't think James Harden's even in the top 10, so I think the GM needs to kind of calm down. Maybe if he wins a championship, then let's talk about where he ranks in top scorers of all time.
I think you made a good point, yeah, like a couple of games last year against the Warriors, he didn't even like show up to the game. Just playing. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have off nights, but you know, bringing up best scorer like of all time and doesn't show up to the biggest series of his life, like
Yeah.
gotta do
I
better.
guess, I guess to stay on the James Harden topic, how do you guys feel about his comments about, like, he said he needed to win the MVP? Like, what is your thoughts on it? The exact, like, he said he needed to win it.
I mean, yeah, I didn't really agree with it. I don't think he need like why would he need it to is he trying to prove to himself that he's good enough, like to win back to back? He's definitely MVP caliber with the season. I mean the last 11 games, like Coach Zai mentioned, I think he's gotten triple double. Not all those games, but a majority of those. So he's definitely up there, but I don't know what he's trying to prove. Like he's already proven himself, I think, He just gotta win a ring to become one of those, someone we're talking about, a long time down the road, but yeah.
Yeah, you can't really win MVP when your team is not even, they're on the brink of even making playoff contention. So I don't think he can discuss MVP. No, for him to say he needs to win it, I don't know if that's just like a personal thing for him to solidify his career, but how about we need to win a championship? I to me, comments like those are selfish, and nothing again to take away from James Harden, but when I see guys like LeBron saying, I'm going to the Lakers to bring LA a championship, a world championship, that type of stuff I like because, he's about the team, he's about the organization. It's away from himself. Got guys like James Harden saying, I need to win an MVP. It's kind of, it's laughable at times because it kind of shows you what the NBA is starting to get to and why we have so many conflicts between teams. We're seeing it big time with the Warriors right now again. I seen an article that came out today that the coaching staff and management is talking about not having Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant on the court at the same time. So I think a lot of these comments, if I'm a teammate of James Harden, I'm just like, hey, can we do something as a team instead of you worrying about winning the most valuable player? Like we're not even in playoff contention yet. So Can we just worry about each individual night and win some games, things like that. So that's my take on it.
I kind of agree with Parker. It's almost like there's a mental block, and it might be from failing in the playoffs to where he thinks he needs that to prove to himself that he's one of the better players in the league, which I do think he's one of the better players in the league, but yeah, I don't think you need an MVP. I don't mind people coming out and saying like, hey, I'd love to be MVP. Like that's going to be my caliber of play is going to be at an MVP level. But to say that you need it, I think is a little selfish, and I agree. Like I said, yeah, made the Western Conference Finals last year, but haven't really beat anybody they shouldn't have beat in the playoffs yet. So like I said, when he makes the playoffs this year, because I do expect that Chris Paul is going to come back healthy, and when they've kind of got it figured out that Melo's gone, and actually surprisingly, because I'm not a big fan of him, Austin Rivers has fit in well. He's played well since he's got there. So it looks like they've kind of pieced together that roster that they're going to run with again this year. So there won't be no excuses. And, with the Warriors struggling, they're showing, I think you're starting to see is that, people aren't scared of the Warriors as much anymore. So it's going to be interesting. But, no, I agree with you guys. You should never say that you need to be MVP. That's almost like a personal incentive, like you want the bonuses and
yeah, you want that new car.
Right. He's already getting $300 million for shoes. He doesn't need more.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for the James Harden drama. Next, we're going to talk about some Philadelphia 76ers drama.